So, for anybody who doesn't know, hasn't seen yet, this is my Jund list. Some differences you'll see between my list and other lists are things like Wild Slash. See some with Seal of Fire. It's not like a staple. No Grim Lavamancers. Only 2 Hex Drinkers. Kroxa in the main. Trophy in the main. I think that's about the good stuff. So some of the reasonings, since not everybody knows. Wild Slash is really great against Heliod. It's really great against like opposing Hex Drinkers, 1-drop prowess dudes out of prowess. Kind of acts as like Seal of Fire number 2, but has the benefit of like blowing out Orioc champions. Also gives you like that 6th, I guess technically 8th enabler for Scourge of the Skyclaves. Kroxa in the main, great in the mid-range mirrors, great in the control matchups, shadow mirrors. Trophy, great against Tron, great as just like a catch-all removal spell for whatever you need to deal with. In the sideboard, 2 copies of Collective Brutality for burn, prowess, 2 Veil of Summer for the mid-range mirrors, 1 Unravel the Aether. I'm still kind of iffy about this one. I'm not a huge fan of the card, but it's worth testing at least. 2nd copy of Damping Sphere, or 2nd copy of Assassin's Trophy for Tron, any of the mid-range mirrors. 2 Damping Spheres for Tron. Only piece of Grave Hate's a single Nihil Spellbomb. Just kind of hope to avoid Dredge and things like that. I usually don't want more than 1 against like the Mirror or Jund or anything anyway. So, we'll see how it goes. K-Command, Kroxa, mid-range. 2 copies of K-Return for Orioc champion decks, as well as any of like random go-wide aggro decks like Elves. And then Cleansing Wildfire, another catch piece for Tron. You can also bring it in against like Amulet Titan or any Utopia Sprawl decks. But the reason I came up with a lot of these numbers in the sideboard is I'm expecting to face Tron, the Mirror, and Heliod. And the sideboarding is just like very clean for those 3 matchups. For instance, if I'm facing Tron, I know pretty well what I'm boarding out. Maybe a Kroxa if I feel like it that day. But for the most part, these 6. And I know I've got a pretty clean set of board ends. And then Kroxa could come in or out depending on how I'm feeling that day. So if I look at the Shadow Mirror, I know I'm boarding out Battle Rages. I know I'm boarding out some number of Inquisitions, 2, maybe 3. Depends on the day. I'm probably boarding out like those. So if I go something like any combination of that for those, then it's pretty straightforward. And then something like what was the last one? Heliod. I know I'm boarding out Scourges. And I know I want to board in Unravel, K-Returns. And then either Kroxa, Assassin's Trophy, or K-Command. So, it's just all very, very 1-for-1 for those 3 matchups. And then anything else we're just kind of like winging on the spot. But I think Blood Moon has a place in the 75. I don't think Blood Moon's bad. I have not personally tested out Blood Moon and Jund. It's an option. You just have to like be okay with that downside of not having Lurrus as a companion when you're running Blood Moon. I don't think it would be bad. Is there any other points to it? You'd have to swap around the mana base. I was like, 5 mana base. I'm on Mountain and Swamp, no Forest. So I would Blood Moon myself out of games. I'd have to swap it up to like Swamp and Forest, no Mountain probably, and go from there. Add like extra fetches to hit the colors or to hit the basics I want. Alright, pretty easy snap keep, right? This is good. Bottom Battle Rage is like the card that we're least likely to be, or least likely to have influence in the game. Alright, Marsh Flats go. No companion. What does this say to me? It says, I think I'm just gonna go Peatland Inquisition. Well then. I don't really care about Brutality, but Brutality does let them ditch Obsidat for free. So I guess I'm just taking that. Do I care if they ditch Obsidat for free? How does this play out? They've got 4 lands, 3 fetches, Brutality, Obsidat. Means that they can escape Kroxa on turn 4 with what they currently have. I think I can freely ditch the Stomping Ground if they Kroxa. I'm not too concerned with it. Maybe it's just like Brutality, ditch the Wild Slash to Kroxa. Probably fine as well. Obsidati indeed. I think I'll just go ahead and cash in on this bauble. I think Assassin's Trophy might actually be my only main deck answer to Obsidat. So I have to keep that in mind. Outside of like double burn spell or something like that. Yeah. It's a pretty good set of pickups, right? Let's just go Stomping Ground Tarmogoyf. Now I've got Thoughtseize for Obsidat, Fatal Push for Escaped Kroxa. We just gotta, like, get them dead. That also kills an Obsidat. So, what does that mean for me here? Like, am I Thoughtseizing? I could Thoughtseize, take the Obsidat. No, I think what I'm gonna do is just let my opponent escape Kroxa, discard the Thoughtseize, Fatal Push the Kroxa. untap, attack with Goyf, get to swing in with, get to attack with Goyf, untap, move on with my life. Guess we should have seal fired there. Definitely should have seal fired there. I think Obzadad is the one that they could cast next turn. Then this just kind of like forces the action on Kroxa. Kroxa comes in, we discard Dismember, Fatal Push the Kroxa. Hopefully move on with our day. Yep. Think it was gonna matter, but might as well see my next draw. On to game 2. Ironic that we talk about cutting a lot of the Grave Hate and then see a Grave deck first game. What's my sideboard playing against? What? Mardu Reanimator? Trophy's a possibility to just deal with something after it's come back. Hate Command. They're bringing in like hand disruption removal. Hate Command's a possibility. Veil could also just do that better. Melody's a possibility if I just want to have extra answers for like Goryo's Vengeance. This. I don't really want to like over sideboard if I don't know exactly what my opponent's game plan is. Like, we can make some pretty decent guesses, but we didn't actually see Goryo's Vengeance or like anything else. So for all I know, they could just be on like get to 7 lands, hard cast, big things deck. That would be a much different sideboard plan for us. It's all brutality though, so I guess that should be straightforward. So I think this is a mulligan. I don't want to have my opponent go land go. I play land Hex Drinker. They untap and go like Brutality, ditch Grizzlebrand, kill my Hex Drinker, take Assassin's Trophy, and I'm just like left with nothing. I think they run Souls. Souls is probably a safe bet. If they're in Mardu already, then that would not surprise me. Am I bolting myself to get Shadow online? Guess I don't have to. I can just bolt them and get Scourge online. Try to find out what their interaction looks like. Nothing on turn 2. Haggle. Okay. Haggle, no second land. No third land. This is just hit with Scourge. Play second Scourge. Goryo's Vengeance, the Grizzlebrand. They can draw 7. They can only draw 7. Prevent that extra 2. See if it matters. That extra 7 cards. Oh. Good effort, opponent. But I would like you to be not alive anymore. Weird one. I don't think I have a spot on here for Esper Reanimator. I guess we'll put it like red, black, X Reanimator. I don't think they have to run the white part of it. I think I said Esper Reanimator. Mardu Reanimator. I don't have a spot on that for here either. Spot on here for that either. Pew pew indeed. That's a good example of the benefit of Death Shadow decks in Modern, or playing Death Shadow decks, is you have games every now and then where like you don't really know what's going on. you don't have a solid game plan against what your opponent's doing, but you're just going to Thoughtseize into a threat, into a swing at them, there's a decent chance they might die. Black Huck, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. I gotta remember to do my my call to action at some point. Wait. I should have done it earlier. We had a pretty good sized crowd. Most part, I just forgot. Everyone on Twitch right now streaming the Pioneer PTQ. That Pioneer word. I gotta change the stream title. I haven't played the format since they banned Inverter. Funny you should mention. I was like looking around through cards some last night, and I pulled out this random stack, and I was like, oh, what is this? Yeah, Inverter. That I never actually got to play at a paper event. I finished the deck like right before COVID hit and just never had a chance. Then it got banned. Alright. I think I'm gonna keep this. It's land heavy, but we've got like good 1-drop into good 2-drop. We've got removal. And if they do have answers to these, we can just like try to get to Luris. Got rid of mine after the ban. It's a modern deck, but seems more fun than competitive. Like, Inverter I don't think was ever worth much after like the initial spike. So I just like never found a reason to sell them. The Black Huck, one question. If you don't have any pool, and you try to build 2 decks for Modern, and one of them is the Blitz, do you think that Rakdos Shadow or Jund Shadow could be a good second option? I think it depends on what your overall, I guess, want is to get out of like Modern on Magic Online. Like, if you're trying to build 2 very competitive decks, then I think the Shadow decks are reasonably priced for being like one of the better decks in the format. Like, let me pull up Goldfish real quick, and we can kind of go over them. So, like, 200 for Blitz, 500 for Shadow, but you're talking about like a tier 1 deck that's not really in any danger of a ban anytime soon. Like a lot of the cheaper decks, Tron, Amulet Titan, Eldrazi Tron, like, have probably suffered a ban at some point or another. But Jund is just like safer option. If you're talking about in paper, then I would always try to pick up decks that have pieces that overlap with a lot of other decks, and decks with high fetch land counts are usually a really good example of that. Like, you're less likely to have overlap out of decks like Amulet Titan and Tron, but decks with like fetch lands, hand disruption, lightning bolts, fatal pushes. These are cards that like have a really high overlap rate in Modern, so they're more likely to be safe going forward, if that helps at all. Alright, so if my opponent is on mono green Tron and they kept a natural Tron hand, we probably don't win this. If they're not on mono green Tron, if they're on E-Tron and this is a Chalice, then we probably beat this pretty well. Still depends if they've got natural Tron. I can't fatal push anyway, so I think what I'm gonna do is shock Blood Crypt, level up Hex Drinker, attack for 6. That means that the Scourge will be lethal with the Battle Rage next turn. And if they cast something like Thought-Knot Seer, take my Battle Rage, then it's still lethal with Dismember. Don't know if Mono Green Tron is cheaper. I'm pretty sure Mono Green Tron is cheaper than Rakdos Shadow. But again, like if you build into Mono Green Tron, you're building into it with the understanding that the only thing you have overlap with is Eldrazi Tron. If you build into a Shadow variant, you're way more likely to have overlap elsewhere. So it is mono green Tron. They just have chalices in the deck. If you build Rakdos Shadow, you can upgrade to Jund Shadow, Grixis Shadow, 4-color, traditional Jund, Rock. You can easily transition into like Rakdos mid-range, basically any like Thoughtseize deck. Tron is cheap because they basically reprinted the whole deck in double masters, but nothing crosses over. Shadow lets you build just about any black-green X or white-black X deck. Right. It's just all about the overlap. Like, I personally wouldn't build into Tron, not because I have personal disdain for the deck, because I obviously don't really care for the deck, but also the fact that if I ever got tired of it, I wouldn't be able to transition to any other deck. Like outside of Eldrazi. Once you have fetches, it becomes relatively cheap to play anything else. Right, like fetches, Thoughtseizes, Tarmogoyfs for Jund. But the fetches, definitely. I really hope my opponent's sitting here with a hand of, like, all maps and stars and spheres and ancient stirrings and stuff like that. And Also, ban announcements are almost always good for you when you're on white base mid-range. You're not wrong. It's like another thought knot. Tell us on 2. I do have basic mountain in this deck. I'm not even gonna like Mishra's Bobble my opponent because I basically can't beat like anything off the top out of them. So whatever they got, they got. But I beat like Worm Coil, Karn, Big Karn, not Little Karn for bridge. I beat Thragtusk in the race, but it does buy them a turn. I don't beat O-Stone, but it does wipe out their chalices. So, yeah, don't beat all his dust. Don't beat Ugin. Don't beat a lot of the 2-ofs, but beat a lot of the 4-ofs. So whatever that means for us. Don't beat Blast Zone, but I do beat, like, Sylvan Scrying or Expedition Map to try to get Blast Zone. I'm really hoping they just slam, like, Worm Coil here and pass. Is it E-Tron? Like, does E-Tron play Karn? And just have 4 natural Tron lands? Alright, it's E-Tron. Beat Reality Smasher, Battery Shaper, Thought Knot. It's greedy E-Tron. I mean, if E-Tron can just, like, keep natural Tron... God, why did you tank so long on this? What did you need to think about? What was the thought process? Please, opponent, tell me what you needed to hash out there. Christmas song in April, woo. What the music's all about. What it decides on, I've got no control over it. Alright, these are options, but they're less exciting. A little bit more exciting if my opponent's just like drawing the really good part of their deck. Like the Tron land part of their deck. Maybe I'll do something like that. Yeah, I feel like this. I think they're just pressing buttons at random and not sure what's gonna happen. It's possible. Yeah, like, I don't know if I would necessarily call what opponent did slow rolling. I just don't know what you have to think about. Like, you have the thing to stop what's killing you. You have to do that. Move on. Probably had 2 lands in hand there, needed to make a decision. Alright, so opponent kept 7 again. I need to find an answer. answer to this Scourge stuck in hand problem. So, draw Lightning Bolt would be nice. Not the worst. We'll throw this down. Probably wanted to get costing. Oh, probably wanted to get liquid metal coating. Couldn't cost chalices on two. But I mean, like, liquid metal coating doesn't do anything for them there, right? Like, they get liquid metal coating and die. So getting bridge is, like, literally their only out. Alright. Double Karn the Great Creator. Means I'm just gonna take Thought Knot Seer here. Doesn't, but Karn for coding is one of those repetitive game plans people are used to. That's fair. They just see, like, Karn! Bust Karn! Alright, so they've got Mine. Is there really a reason to get Mine instead of a second Eldrazi temple there? Asking for a friend. So, I think I'm just taking all his dust here. So if they... I'm going down to 5. Hitting for 5, playing a 5/5 Scourge. So I guess they're not dead if they play Karn. But all his dust doesn't tap for multiple, so I guess we'll just take a Karn. Yeah. Great Creator. Let me hit you with my shadow, please. Let's see. When you decide to build a deck in paper with $150 per month, where would you start to buy, or is it indifferent? So, it depends. For example, if I were building a deck for $150 a month, right now, while no events are going on, I would put it towards a deck that I was sure I wanted to invest in the long term. Like, start putting $150 a month towards Jund Shadow if you really wanted to play Jund Shadow. Otherwise, if events were live, I would put $150 or 200, whatever, towards something like Burn that's really good, a good modern deck, and I could use it to start playing right away and cashing events. Because that would help to kind of snowball the winnings towards other decks. But if there's no events going on, then I would just put it towards a deck that you think you're going to want to play when events are starting back. MTGO has a $25 option to get a God account until April 15th, I think. Right, that's a really good recommendation as well. MTGO right now, I'll show it, has got the Mythic tokens, Mythic event tokens available. So for $25, you can like completely unlock every card on Magic Online and use them for whatever event you want to. So if you're wanting to like test out a deck or try something different, now is a really good idea. Now's a really good time. Like, how much is Prowess in paper right now? $380. This is $512. I'm sure some of the costs could be adjusted here and there. Like, you're gonna have some that are playing Scalding Tarn instead of another option, and they're gonna be pricier. But if you look at these like $500-ish versions, and you're talking like 3 months and you can just have the deck completely done. Pretty good deal. Blitz and Jund Shadow and paper, you really can't go wrong with Blitz. I would agree. It's a safe deck. Yeah, the Prowess deck, you just need like any red fetch land, since they're not running basic island. Alright, best case scenario, opponent plays a Reality Smasher and hits me in the face with it. Are you ticking up Blast Zone? Sure. Alright, opponent, just play the Reality Smasher. That's all I ask out of you. Just throw that bad boy on the field and say, I bet you can't beat it. Honestly, you could save a little money by going Boros, since the shocks fast lanes are cheaper, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be optimal moving forward. You could. Absolutely could. Alright, so one unknown in hand. See what we got. Oh, you're right. Chaos Fury couldn't smash her. But I'm pretty sure we beat everything here. I'm assuming this is Reality Smasher. Which we could beat a few different ways. We might take the funny way. Alright, we beat that. We will Thoughtseize for the information. Don't believe there's anything here that's beating us. UL. Ghost Quarter. No, not Ghost Quarter. Second Reshaper would be funny, but they're still dead. Would be. Technically, I guess I could have attacked and then dismembered whichever one they blocked. Or if they like blocked the Scourge, which they had to not die, just dismember the Scourge and kill him with the Shadow. AC/DC songs. Right, I can't put anything that's not on the copyright-free stations. I can swap it up. I don't really know what all's on here, but not playing. Crazy, screws. Actual answer, lose creatures. It's in Luris colors. Let's see. Still rather have Luminancer on 2 over what's SCM. Oh, this hand's pretty terrible. This hand's not great, but it's got Trophy as a decent answer to a lot of spells. Got a turn 1 threat. Black Hook, good night, people. Thanks a lot for the information. Good luck in the league. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Thanks again for the follow. But I know, yeah, Steven's really high on Boros. Are they gonna have natural Tron 2 games in a row? Like, should I just be Assassin's Trophying one of these lands just so, like, they can't do it? I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna Assassin's Trophy a land on their draw step, just so they can't natural Tron me if they have it. I don't really want them to draw Chalice. They did not have it. I think they didn't have it. Still could have had it. Take a look and see what they're hiding over here. Member, sure. Whole lot of nothing. So at the moment, this Scourge is lethal next turn. If they just draw dead here. They did not have natural Tron. I know this is gonna hit a land. I guess I could have bobbled before combat to decide if I wanted to. Yeah, I'm definitely bolting the Matter Shaper and presenting lethal. I'm just thinking I could have bobbled first to make sure, but I don't think there's any reason that I'm not just going for it. They die here. Got it. Like, the bobble them before combat is just free. There's not really a reason not to. Before I die, let me add a counter. I respect opponent going out on their own terms. Just being like, you know what? I'm dead. Nothing I can do about it. Put a counter on the blast zone. Just like, yeah, that's a big scourge. That's cool and all. Counter on the blast zone. If you ever need a new dance trend, we call this one Counter on the Blast Zone. Gonna catch on, just you wait. It could be another reshaper, but if I bolt the first one and they do flip a second one, it means they have to block with the second one. If I don't bolt the first one, they flip the second one, then I have to bolt the second one, and at least bolting the first one gives them a chance of it not being one. Luris Mirror. Alright. So, could be Jun Shadow, could be Mill, Hammer Time, Sultai Control, Burn, what else? Zoo, I don't know. Could be a bunch of things. What do we got? Looks like a Jun Mirror. Feels like a Jun Mirror. Take my thought seize. Seems fair. They'll never see this Veil of Summer I just drew. See that ticket. So the $25 token that they do, you don't get any ticks or event tickets or anything. So you still have to like pay to enter the event. You just don't have to pay for the cards or to rent them through like a rental service. It just gives you like a God account, so you get access to all of those cards while you play. You can't like trade them away or anything like that, but you can use them for the events. Get a blood crypt here in case I draw a third shadow. Might just want to like untap triple shadow. Double bolt my shadow or my scourge. All right. Lurus into the hand, sure. That's a really good draw. Double checking to make sure that wasn't lethal. But they had lightning bolt in their deck, so wasn't. All right. What are my options? So if I attack with both and either one is unblocked, they die. So they have to block both. So if they have to block both, I'm just throwing each one, or I'm battle raging whichever gets blocked by the shadow. Unless they block the Hex Drinker on the shadow, then I kill them. I don't have lethal if they block Hex Drinker on Goyf, shadow on shadow. Or wait, I do. No, I don't. I'm short. No, if they block shadow on my shadow, theirs is a 7 with it can go up to an 8. Mine goes up to a 6. I could only trample over for 4, but then their shadow would live. Like, they die if they don't block both of them. They die if they put Hex Drinker on Shadow. And regardless of how they block, I get to clear their board.
What's your name, pretty boy? I'm not gonna lie to you. Yo, I have expectations.
Yeah, so this is correct blocking out of them.
Too much. I'm not from here.
So I Battle Rage my Shadow.
I'm not your girl. I'm not the one you're looking for.
Go to damage. First strike damage happens.
What's your name?
Second strike damage.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your
Now I
name?
want to assign
What's your name?
4 to the Shadow, 2 to them.
What's your name? What's your name?
Double check and make sure that's right.
What's your name?
They don't have an option to peat land. Damage is done at the beginning of the damage step.
What's your name?
So I assign 2 over to them. They go to 4. Shadow goes up to a 9 with 6 damage marked on it.
What's your name?
4 more. Yeah.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Milo, how's it going?
What's your name?
I was gonna say, if they pop this peat land, they need to do it off of a blood crit. If they pop it off forest and they take out Tarmogoyf as a live draw.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Unless they drew something like a Shadow and they're wanting to potentially double spell.
What's your name?
And that should do that.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Tony doing a good job of listening to what Mike is telling them.
I have expectations. What's your name?
No, like, they figured it out because they didn't just snap go to crack it, which was good.
What's your name, pretty boy?
Alright. Things I want for the mirror.
What's your name?
Things I'm less excited about in the mirror.
What's your name? What's your name, pretty boy?
Something like that.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name, pretty boy?
Let's see if they take the play or the draw.
What's your name?
Like, I am absolutely okay with taking the draw in this matchup.
What's your name? What's your
And solid.
What's your name?
Got Kroxa, which is one of the better threats.
What's your name?
We've got Veil plus Hex Drinker.
What's your name? What's your name, pretty boy?
What do you got?
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name, pretty boy?
Alright. How do I want to do this? Do I want to double Thoughtseize? Probably don't want to double Thoughtseize, but I want to at least cast one. So, play or take their Hex Drinker, play my Hex Drinker, let them use a removal spell on it. If they use a removal spell, it means they're not adding Lurrus to their hand. If they don't add Lurrus to their hand, or if they do add Lurrus to their hand, I get to go Stomping Ground, level up the Hex Drinker, and dodge it, or just Thoughtseize their Lurrus. So, seems like a fine trade-off to me. Go blocks. Pass turn. So I guess that means they're trying to get me to pump mana into this Hex Drinker. Let's go Mountain Kroxa. Push, Bolt, Swamp, Unknown. Swamp. So I think that means I'm supposed to Thoughtseize here. I just want to like get the Fatal Push out of hand. Or they cast it, sure. Could just be dead. We'll see. A little less dead. Yep. All right. So what are my outs? Do I have any? Attacking with Scourge, it's a chump block. So if I have like Bolt Fatal Push like they had, I would win. Maybe that's enough of an incentive to not attack all out here. And that's all I'm hoping for, is to buy one turn. Worth a try. So, what am I swapping around? Sealed Fire's a lot better with a bunch of Hex Drinkers running around. Don't think I really want to swap anything up. So I don't want to become famous and buy followers. Right here. Let's see. I guess it was the Thoughtseize turn. I just shouldn't have Thoughtseized there. Like, assume their last card is air. I don't think that Thoughtseize really like accomplished anything anything substantial. Like I said, I don't mind taking the draw in this matchup. Gotta practice what I preach here. Yeah, saving the Thoughtseize was a possibility, but like, the thought at the time was I really need to get this Fatal Push out of hand so that I can untap and get Kroxa back. If I had known about the Scourge on top of my library, that probably like completely changes, but didn't know about that at the moment.
If you want me to take over, just give me the green light. Just give me the green light. If you want me to get close to you, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. If you want me to take over,
take this member.
Green light. Just give me a sign. Just give me the green light.
If you want me to get close to you, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. If you want me to take over, just give me the green light. Just give me a sign. If you want me to get close to you, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. If you want me to take over, just give me the green light. Just give me the green light.
What do you got? Assuming like Tarmogoyf here. Yep.
If you want me to get close to you, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. If you want me to take over, just give me the green light. Just give me the green light.
They find third land for Luris. They want it. You could also Kroxa here. So let's see. I think my best bet is Luris to hand. So if I play Shadow Goyf, they can end of turn dismember one, untap, trophy the other, and I'm not really in a better position than I started. If I just add Luris to the hand, then I kind of give myself like another draw step before I really have to make any big decision here. And now I'm gonna have a threat that's outside of removal range. My fatal pushing. Like if they play Kroxa, I don't think I'm fatal pushing.
Bit by bit, creative imagination began to build a new art form.
Like they'd have to fetch and shock for Kroxa. They wouldn't get to play a removal spell. I know 3 of their 5. They could have hit Veil of Summer. But if they go like Luris Bobble here, I get to Fatal Push the Tarmogoyf, untap, present lethal, force the chump block with the Luris. They attack. How am I blocking? I can go, sure. Got a dismember available. I want a Fatal Push now. Because if I draw... What? So... Attacking with just the shadow isn't lethal. So if I attack with both, then what? They block Goyf on my Goyf. If I attack with just Shadow, they can't dismember plus trophy. Is that worth it? Ezekiel, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. So... if I attack with just Shadow, they, I'm guessing, don't block. And they have to hit like another basic or a fetch land off the top to be able to dismember Luris, Assassin's Trophy, the Tarmogoyf, and swing for lethal. If I attack with just Goyf, they just block, no problem. I don't think they dismember. If I... their last card is a Lightning Bolt. Does that change anything? I'm like so positive I'm supposed to attack with the Shadow here. There's definitely cards that I lose to. Like Fatal Push I lose to. Lightning Bolt I lose to. But I feel like I'm just supposed to make this combination of cards bad. Or really awkward at the very least. It's like they can't shock in Kroxa or they die to what's on board. They can't play both Dismember plus Assassin's Trophy. They can play Luris Bauble. Then they die to a removal spell on my side. Like second Tarmogoyf. Trophy, sure. Last card, another Shadow. What does that do? So trophy's gone. They've got Dismember, Luris, Unknown. I go land, attack with Shadow. They have to block. I guess I can't even do that because if I go... If I play Kroxa, I'm dead to a fetch land off the top with their Kroxa. What would their last card be? Let's just go Kroxa, get back Kroxa. Maybe that'll help inform decisions. X-Drinker. Anything I can remove from the graveyard. They've got instant sorcery, creature, artifact, land, so no. Don't believe it matters what I get rid of. They've got to decide between Luris and Dismember. Ditch Dismember. Alright. So if I attack Shadow, if attacking forces block, what's the difference in attacking and not attacking? The primary difference is if I attack and let's say I fetch and shock to eat their Shadow. If they hit a red source off the top, they Kroxa and kill me. I can just fetch and not shock and just trade Shadows. But if they go... I guess Luris doesn't kill me at that point. I'm dead to removal spell off the top regardless. There's not much of a reason to play around that. Do I have any shocks left? I think I have a second Overgrown Tomb. I do not. Never mind. Doesn't matter. So then let's trade off Shadows. Cross that bridge when we come to it. Yep. Dead to removal spell anyway, so no reason to play around it. They can't, like, fetch, shock, play Luris, or they die. They can Luris Bobble, which is good for them. Then I need to rip removal spell. Assuming the last card in their hand is live. Yeah, they probably want to go ahead and crack that. Am I supposed to attack? I think yes. If they double block, I get to recast Kroxa from my yard anyway and get both cards out of their hand. If they don't double block, I force a chump and follow it up with Hex Drinker. They know about this Hex Drinker. Discard another bauble, sure. They do go for the double block. I kill the Luris. Recast Kroxa. Dismember, sure. Play Hex Drinker. Go. Alright, they can get back Kroxa. Puts me down to 1. Which means they're dead to removal spell off the top. So I can't play that out or I'm dead to Kroxa trigger. So, do I have to attack with Kroxa here? Yeah, if Hex Drinker could level up all the way, it would be GG's. It cannot. Unfortunately, that means he has to chump block. So if I attack with my Kroxa, they go to 3, they have to block. If they block with their Kroxa, Hex Drinker blocks Tarmogoyf. I can't play Scourge because of their Kroxa trigger when they bring it back. If I don't attack, than they do, and I'm in the same situation. So I have to attack with Kroxa. I'll assign damage to their Kroxa first. That way, they've got to spend their entire turn getting back Kroxa. And it gives me the chance to just top deck like a lightning bolt for lethal. Not seen a lightning bolt yet this day, or this game. So, good vibes. Good vibes on the lightning bolt. If you didn't attack, then if they wanted to attack back, you could have blocked Kroxa and Goyf and Trump their Kroxa with Hex Parasite, right? Making their attacks bad. I think you're right. Believe you're right. Let's see. What was my life? Would it have changed anything? Because they attack back with Kroxa. Because they don't have to attack with the Tarmogoyf, right? They only have to... No, it's the same. Because they would have just attacked with the Kroxa. They don't have to attack with the Tarmogoyf. They just attack with the Kroxa. I ditch the Scourge. I have to block the Kroxa. I can either go my Kroxa on their Kroxa, and they can just replay the Kroxa, or chump Kroxa with Hex Parasite. And then it comes down to whatever they drew. I don't know. I would have not leveled Hex, put Lurrus in hand and played Scourge instead. If I still had access to Lurrus, I would have done that. But I did not, so I could not. Like, I think your line is, Steven, is better if they had to attack with Goyf. But I think since they didn't have to attack with Goyf, I'll have to go back through and double check. And it's pretty bad. Like the second push was a second land, it'd be a snap keep, but without that. Huh. We keep this for science. For a tribe scout. Need a fetch land off the top and we feel good. One time deck. White. Alright. Let's take prime time. We'll dismember the Dryad. And just hope we find that second land. Azusa. It's not a Dryad. Alright. Dryad Explore. I don't really have to kill this because it just like doesn't matter. I think I'll just pass with Dismember. All right. Just remember, they did also have to attack with Goyf there because you were threatening to make Hex Drinker into a Progenitus. That's fair. That's fair. That is a solid reason. And is on the table. Like to deal with that one. Not the land we want, but it's the land we deserve. So, how do we get from point A, where we're at, to point B, having our opponent dead in the shortest amount of time possible? I think it starts with Bolt Ourselves. And then what? I feel like this is just Bolt Ourselves, Bolt Azusa. But I guess we need to save this double bolt for at least a turn in case they do have a Titan. But like Zeus is just not doing anything if she's not chump blocking here. Yuka Bog, sure. Alright, so now am I supposed to be throwing like double bolt at my opponent? So if I put them down to 20, untap, attack for 6, put them down to 14, play Scourge. I've got 2 6/6s. If I draw a fetch land, they die. Alternatively, I bolt myself. Let's say bolt myself, bolt them. I go down to 4. Shadow becomes a 9/9. They still go to 14, but now I've got a 9/9 Shadow and a Scourge. I could double bolt self. So if I bolt myself twice, go to 1, attack for 12, they're down to 14. Are we playing around lightning bolt out of there or out of them in any regard? I think so. Alright. Got 1 draw step. Don't think that does it. I think it was more like trying to figure out if there was any series of draws that maybe included Dryad or Valakut that kill me. Ultimately, I don't think with 1 draw step they could draw enough, but might as well think it through. XDito V2, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. Dito, how's it going? There's a coincidence that I get a Dito in the stream chat and an XDito V2 following at the same time. You be the judge. Alright, what are they bringing in? Bad cards. Rim a little bit here and there. We saw, what's it called? The current Tribe Scout. I don't want to board out all of my removal. Kroxa is probably a little too slow. Gonna Blood Moon you so your abundant growth don't work. Dang, I feel like this is a shots fired kind of stream now. Alright, and solid. Inquisition into Tarmogoyf and find something else. Oh. Not the Amulet of Vigor. Got plenty of red. Dryad, Azusa. Start chipping away at some Dryads. Bug should never happen, but MTGO things. So what happened with this? What's the story I'm missing out on here? Alright, so I could Thoughtseize. I think I'm just gonna play Tarmogoyf here. I'd rather just like start getting the attacks on. Third Dryad off the top. Opponent is what we would call Dryad flooded. Very serious condition. You enchant a Stomping Ground, so it's a rainbow land. They Blood Moon, Stomping Ground taps for red now, but Abundant Growth still makes it a rainbow land. Oh, so it's supposed to, yeah, it's supposed to be a rainbow land, but it stopped being a rainbow land. Just like didn't recognize the layer there. Got you. Alright, am I going Thoughtseize plus Shadow? I know they've got Azusa, Dryad, Unknown. So I could Thoughtseize, see what's up, decide on either Damping Sphere or Shadow. You okay with that? I'm gonna take the big one. Gonna take the big one. Let's just play out Shadow here. Say go. Which means it's like guaranteed bounce land off the top. Second Dryad. Got it. Ooh. You ever just like draw something really good? Not like kinda good. How much do I want to invest into this Shadow? Or I want to wait? Is Dismembering here doing anything? Like just the extra damage, but I think the extra damage is fine. And here's this for the hell of it. So many players yesterday going 7-3 didn't even top 32. Dang. No, top 32 for 7-3 is rough. Alright, so there's Bounce Land, which means they can make another plant token if they want. Yep. It's not enough to get the attack. We'll look for a Battle Rage just in case. Wonder why they're not running or not running the Azusa in front of like the Tarmogoyf here. Fourth Dryad coming in hot. Got it. So give them a chance to mess up and like attack with this Dryad or something. Then I can just unravel this one or bolt this, whatever. So. Strange one there. Like, opponent is basically dead, but they don't know they're dead. So that might have been like a premature concession. Saw your hand and decided to pack it in. I don't think that was the same opponent that hit Spike. And it's fine. All right, we got another prediction in. Are we sending the kids on the dollar menu, or are we getting the Big Macs? Hey Zerd, how was Grixis day? Couldn't watch it. 3-2, I believe. I don't think we had any major punts. We just ran into like black-white mid-range round 1, which is horrible. Guys, polluted Delta. Still my beating heart. People believe in Mike way too much. Always a ton of money for the believers. I agree. Like, if you win the bet, you like don't really win anything. Is it even worth it? Scourge is good. We're just gonna do a little Goyf v Goyf action. See. Want some Za? I would love some Za. I did get a Happy Meal the other week. Came in a Pikachu box and pack of cards. It might be worth more than $4 eventually. There you go. That's the optimism we like to hear. Maybe these polluted deltas are like a budget consideration over verdant catacombs. I'd buy that. I would buy that. No blocks, opponent. Not doing it. Refuse to. You got the bolt, you got the bolt. Is what we call in my business, not the bolt. Alright. What's my best line to get from point A to point B? Point A to point B. Like, do I think that they're going to attack with double Goyf if I pass the turn? Guess we'll find out. They do. So block here. Oh, you. Push this one. I can play out a shadow here. I think go shadow plus Lurrus to hand. If they shock there, it means they have to chump block my Scourge. Or they die. I want to kill the big one. Alright. Yeah, missed a bunch in chat. Jun Shadow must be the most popular deck at the moment. Probably one of like the top 3. Like Jun Shadow, Heliod, Tron. Put Prowse up there too. Yeah, Prowse is right up there with them for sure. That's fair. Opponent took the play and mulligan. If we have another, I'm gonna keep it. It's a really, really not great hand, but we're on the draw. We're already up a resource with them mulliganing. We've got a lot of live draws. Opponent mulligan, snap it off. Snap off the keep or snap off the mulligan? We already decided, but... Yep. Two-half Metalcraft. Oh, man. Where are your Mox Opals now? Okay. So we Thoughtseize, take whatever their next thing is. Thoughtseize. Seal of Fire to kill Hex Drinker. And we're like taking a shot off of this Scourge, but we get to follow it up with Shadow plus Veil. Just gonna wait. See what our opponent does first. Draw a lightning bolt. Lethal. That's fair. That is fair. Scourge is so good in the mirrors. I completely forgot that their life total was that high. Like, so used to being conservative in the mirror that I get hit once and it like all goes out the window. I'm like, oh my god, what happened? I'm gonna mulligan to 5. It's a good start. Yep. Goes all my channel points. Which side did you vote for? Oh, you predicted Big Mac. So you should feel good here. To an extent. Maybe. Yep. So, opponent's sitting on a Veil of Summer. I'm assuming. See. Getting refunded for each, consider that no one else took up the opposite side. Really? Nobody thought I'm gonna lose? Oh. And would you like to hit me with that Hex Drinker? Interesting. Get to force the action on this supposed Veil of Summer. All right, got. Yep. So I could add Luris to the hand. I think I'm just gonna play Kroxa. Now, am I attacking and saying I'm dead to I guess I'm not even like dead to removal spell. I think I'm dead to lightning bolt. To 2.7 million points on Tyler One Stream. Jesus. Okay. Huh? So I can't. Yeah, I can't crack Spellbomb plus get Kroxa back. But that means I don't have to. We talk about Assassin's Trophy this match. Trophy off the top headline of this league. No kidding. Trophy off the top was pretty fantastic. Alright, so what do we think about Jund? I think the Jund felt smoother than Grixis for sure. That's right, we do have our command. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word command there for 4-1 leagues. Exclamation Big Mac. Just letting everybody know that we've not only fed the kids, but the kids are like actually eating real food for once. Those little hobos. Yeah. House. Like this. Okay. The Command T Aporte? No idea. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. It would be just as good as Terminate. No, because we hit a Tron land with one, which obviously Terminate can't do. I think that was the only time this league that it was different, but it was in fact different. So just minor difference. But I think for the most part I like Assassin's Trophy a lot more than Terminate. Usually the land like doesn't matter in the time that you are killing your opponent, and just being able to unconditionally answer whatever is extremely nice. Other than that, I've been liking a lot of the splits out of Jund. What was the matchup we lost? We're down. Roll. We lost the mirror, that's right. So if you consider 50-50 in the mirror being a sign of normalcy, yeah. Then we were 50-50 in the mirror, and that second one just happened to be our trophy one. But yeah, I think that Jund overall has been very, very consistent for me. I don't think I'm planning on changing too many cards in the near future, but I think this is a good base. I've been liking the Kroxa and the Assassin's Trophy in the main. I know a lot of people move like both of those to the board and run extra 1-drops or something like that, but not too much of an issue. I don't think I saw you cast Wildfire. I did not. I don't think I brought it in. I know I didn't bring it in against Eldrazi Tron, but for the most part, I would consider like any of these kind of to be like flex spots. So it doesn't have to be Wildfire. Could be something else. Or Wild Slash. I don't think we cast Wild Slash at all. It's really good against like the aggressive creature matches, but we saw like what do we see? Eldrazi Tron, Shadow, the Reanimator deck, and something else that I don't remember off the top of my head. Some other deck that I'll have to go back through and add the matchup to. But yeah, like we didn't run into Heliod, so we didn't need Wild Slash. But I think for the most part, it's been pretty good for me, so I'm interested in testing with it some more at the very least. But I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Good couple of leagues. At least gives us a baseline of some standards. Getting ready for the PTQ on Friday. I'm gonna send everybody over to Gigi, who's running through the Pioneer PTQ. So if you're wanting to check that out, feel free to stick around, share some love from the channel. As always, appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. Appreciate the new follows, the new subs, the resubs. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their Tuesday. Do you have any brews to use Shriek Maw? I've got the 4-color Traverse builds, and I've ran Shriek Maw in those before. I wouldn't run it at the moment because of the prevalence of Shadow Mirrors, though. But if the Shadow Mirrors die down, who knows? Maybe we play Shriek Maw again. But yeah, hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their Tuesday. As always, if you're enjoying the content, enjoying the stream, feel free to hit the follow button. Doesn't cost you anything. Just lets you know whenever we go live. Otherwise, we'll be back live tomorrow with some variation of Shadow. I will catch y'all then. So,